sort of in between my sort of part-time job, sort of fitting in uni work. But I wish I'd taken advantage of like the common space a lot more, because now on the studio, on a day-to-day basis, I'm working with people all the time, and it's, you know, it helps me produce my best work. I just didn't realise that when I was first year. That's kind of the main thing, really. I think the sort of, it kind of contradicts my first point there. I think like the freedom that you had, you know, you've got a few points of sort of necessary contact time every week, but that sort of freedom you've got to go off and explore, go off to London, go to galleries, you know, it's not a 9-to-5 schedule, and you can sort of find a way of making that work. And also the spaces that they were just starting to build when I was here, but looking at it now, it's even more so. But the max suites, the equipment, the facilities, everything there, you don't have to, it's not lacking in anything. You don't have to go anywhere else to find sort of the things you need to do your work, essentially. Obviously, also Winchester is amazing, to the point where I'm probably going to be moving back here one day. It's awesome. I think, from a data visualization point of view, I think I'd love to do something with, say, the New York Times. They've done some amazing sort of long-form editorial pieces that feature a lot of data visualization that really sort of augment and help tell that story that they're telling. There might be one on climate change, there might be one on you know, the refugee crisis. But I think working with them on something that's a little bit more to do with current affairs would be really, really good. Their design team is amazing as well. They solve really difficult problems. I think most of my inspirations come from, you know, things like the New York Times or Bloomberg, where they do this kind of, you know, you wouldn't go to them as typical design sort of resources usually, but the way they tell stories with design is kind of really groundbreaking. They're sort of breaking down a complex narrative into something that is digestible, and using things like visualization to sort of augment that story, rather than it just being, here's a graph and here's loads of information about it. They'll sort of take you on a journey through the data and help you explore that. Also, just the people I work with usually, I'm lucky enough to work with people that have got a lot of experience in working in the field that we work in. So my boss has had a long history at the BBC. My design director used to run a studio in New York. He's coming at it from a very different perspective than I am. So sort of surrounding myself with people that know a lot more than I do is, yeah. Yes, I think that's something that well, as a studio as well, we strive to do. I think most of my most recent projects have been for clients such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or the United Nations or large sort of charity foundations, and they all try and paint a picture of the world in truth, but one that's meant to encourage sort of action on certain topics. So eradicating disease, or getting people out of poverty, or sort of equality. Sketching, I think it takes a long time and a lot of people to sort of bring a story into shape. So, you know, often we'll have a little bit of direction about what the end result might look like, but we don't have any clues as to, you know, the story that it's going to tell. So we have an in-house data expert, an in-house editorial team, and obviously the designers. And all the skills are kind of, we all cross over in certain areas. So we sit down as a team and we sometimes just have meetings that last sort of half a day, just looking through the data, pulling out key stories or key highlights. Then we start sketching, which is the most important stage. We sort of, before we even plot any of the data, we start seeing what shape that this thing could form. After that is prototyping. It's very much a sort of a linear process, but what it allows us to do is to solve any problems very early on in the project, rather than having to deal with, you know, we've designed this beautiful thing, and then when we put the data into it, it actually looks a bit crap. So yeah, building up that story is the most important thing. It's more important than any of the charts themselves. It's sort of getting an understanding of what you're actually trying to say with the data first. I listen to film soundtracks. I listen to things by Hans Zimmer, and super atmospheric stuff. There's a band called Hammock, which are basically just like long drawn out notes for hours. I find that things with words are really distracting. I end up sort of singing along rather than concentrating half the time. So yeah, that's not always the case, but usually it's chilled out ambient stuff.